Welcome to the Q.A.C. Team Podcast, your quality assurance consulting team. Quality is our highest priority for your business with one goal, one direction, success. And now here's your host, Charles Luttrell. Good morning, listeners. This week seems to be the week of desserts. My next podcast comes from Havre de Grace, Maryland. Emily, welcome to the Q.A.C. Team Podcast. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. I want to thank you again for coming on. Let's go ahead and get started and tell our audience who you are and what you do.
Okay. So my name's Emily. I am the owner and baker of Nonnie's Cookie Jar in Havre de Grace. We are a currently cottage bakery, means I bake out of my house, and we
Yay!
specialize in Italian cookies.
Nice. We love small businesses. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So what intrigued you? So why did you decide to become a business owner?
So I've always kind of liked the idea of being my own boss so that I can have a flexible schedule for around my kids.
Yeah, it's definitely important. Absolutely. Yep.
Yes.
And you seem to have some history here with this baking, right? With your business.
They do. They are the helpers. They are the cookie taste testers. They'll tell you they get the ends of the biscotti.
That's great.
Yeah, it's they're very supportive. They are 100% my cheerleaders for this business.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, we got to have a purpose, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. So tell us, why did you decide, why did you choose your industry?
You know, Chuck, funny you say that. The industry chose me.
That's
let
great.
me tell you. Can I tell you a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Let's hear the history.
I was never a baker.
Oh.
I was the girl who ran late to a family function or get together because I was stopping at the store to get dessert. Okay. Mm-hmm. I never baked a from scratch recipe, and I barely baked it from the box recipe because 9 times out of 10 I'd probably burn it. Just because I would forget about it in the oven, not for, and I grew up, I am Italian. My nana would make pizzelles. She always had pizzelles in the house. She would make Italian wedding cookies. And, I grew up with that. Maybe helped her a little bit as a child, but as I got older, it just really wasn't my thing. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, she passed away December 2021. And when I cleaned out her house, I took her pizzelle irons. And they sat in my house for a year. And December 2022, I literally just got this kind of goosebumpy feeling like I had to make cookies for Christmas. I had to. Who else was going to do it? My nana's not there. Mm-hmm. I had to do it. I said to my husband, I'm going to go make cookies for Christmas. He said, but you don't bake. I said, I know. But
what a crazy idea, right? Hold up. You bake? Hold up here.
I'm like, I have to do it. Yeah, all right, I guess, So I went to the store and for the first time, bought the bag of flour, bought the bag of sugar, the whole 9 yards, and I made them. And everybody enjoyed it. And then a couple months went by and I didn't do anything. And then the kids started saying, can we have some more cookies? Can we have some more cookies? All right, fine. And then one night, they'll tell you I was sitting by our fake fireplace where I just said, I wonder if people would like to buy these. And the rest is history.
Wow.
Yep. This was March 18th or 20th of 2023. We just hit a year. We are at every first Friday in Havre de Grace. We get some cookies at send them to Joseph's department store in Havre de Grace. I've got just over 460 followers on Facebook for the business, all in a year.
Wow, congratulations. That's
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you've turned this little, I guess, love of baking from your grandmother into a business.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
And you're keeping those cookies, it's like keeping them alive, you know? It's like I talk to her when I make the pizzelles and I'm like, "Could you just make this go right?" If it starts acting up or why am I, you know, so it's fun. It's great. Every time I do it I can think of her, you know.
There
Um
you go. Absolutely, right? It
yeah.
takes you back and brings back those memories, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right. So you gave us a little bit of information on, you weren't sure if you were a baker, you burned things. So that's the kind of the start of this process, right? But we know all businesses and all things come without challenges. So tell our audience a little bit about what were some of the challenges that you faced from the time you thought about you were going to bake these cookies up until now you're selling them.
Yeah. Gosh, probably my biggest challenge is just space. Where
Mhm.
do I put trays and trays of cookies when I've got four kids in, you know, a small to average size home, and they know, like, on big baking days, like, you're probably eating dinner in the living room tonight because where else are we gonna go?
We've got nowhere to put stuff.
Yes, yes. I've got cabinets now to lock, and I this is the thing, I don't keep a lot of cookies on hand because I do bake to order. I bake fresh. My goal is to provide the most bang for the customer's buck. I want it to be the freshest cookie you've had, and I want you to get as much flavor as possible.
Right, right. I get it. So that's one of the biggest challenges is space, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what about the process? Baking, the right ingredients, and how long did it take you to? I mean, was this something that your grandmother had written out for all the right ingredients, or was this something that you had to mess around with a little bit to kind of perfect, or is this something
So
that you just kind of picked it up?
yeah, so I mean, it's kind of, I don't have too much trouble really on that end because I'm using her recipe for the pizzelles. The wedding cookies, I use my Aunt Josie's Italian wedding cookie recipe. My
Hmm.
biscottis, my Aunt Liz's. It's all family recipes that have been passed down to me. And then I say, it's all based on my family's recipes, then with my own little tweak.
Right.
I make an amazing, not to toot my own horn, but cinnamon sugar pizzelle. My nana never did cinnamon sugar pizzelles,
Hmm.
but I've taken that on and kind of modernized some of the cookies and given them extra little flair.
Well, that wasn't in my sample pack.
I know, I'm
How
sorry.
dare you toot your horn about a cookie that you
Because
didn't let me taste test?
now you've got to come back for more and try more stuff.
That's the trick. I love it.
I'm always trying new things.
Hmm.
I just, like, I have kind of the basic of what I do, but then I'm like, I wonder if I can do this cookie. And I've got this really nice kind of, I call it a pizzaffle. It's kind of like a cross between a pizzelle and a waffle, and it's
Hmm.
fabulous for like an ice cream sandwich. And
Oh wow!
yeah, it's just, I'm always just like, what can I do next? What can I mean, the basics are great and they are core of who we are, but what next? What next?
Right. That's a great segue into my next question is what are the expectations for your business in the next year or two?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Chuck. Thanks for asking that, because let me tell you, we talk about space of my house, and I think, how can I continue baking? I mean, obviously I've done it for a year, but it's not been without just frustration and struggles.
Yeah.
And so I would absolutely love to expand. I am currently looking at three different brick and mortar options,
Oh, great.
and that would allow me to do more. It would allow me to maybe add some Italian gelato to
Oh,
our
nice.
menus because, you know, I'm gonna be Harford County or Havre de Grace is like next best. You know,
Mhm.
like this is just where my mindset is. I don't necessarily want to be just baking at home. I'm gonna be in multiple stores.
Mhm.
I'm gonna get out beyond the limits of Harford County, Maryland. I'm gonna go, and I do. I'm talking with people, an Italian shop in Berlin, Maryland, and you know, Pasadena and Annapolis, like because Nonnie's Cookie Jar has. I want everybody to get a taste.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
if you haven't had a pizzelle, let me be the first to give that to you. You know, like this, we just started the first Fridays again, and people, a handful of people came up just remembering me from last year,
That's great.
and they're like, "We don't follow you on Facebook. We just tried to find you." And I'm like, and there was this one little kid. He never had a pizzelle in his life. He never had a pizzelle until he begged his father to get a pizzelle from me last year. And his father looked at him like, "You're nuts. You don't even know what this cookie is, right?" And they kept coming back. They kept coming back. And you know what, Chuck? People are going to keep coming back because as long as I just keep what I'm doing, I mean, I offer you fresh, homemade Italian cookies. You cannot find these in the store. My pizzelles are fresh. They're different flavors. My biscotti will not break your tooth. I have found that people prefer a little bit of a softer biscotti, you know?
Mhm.
And and that's what people are, and I'm gonna let everybody get a taste. Oh my gosh, and I'm having my own biscotti tasting at the end of this month too at Joseph's department store.
Oh, well, that's
Yes.
great.
So, I'm just constantly thinking, what next?
What next?
What next?
Right. Yeah. Well, I
Happily
can.
grown keeps us going.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you what's next in this conversation is I have tasted your cookies last night.
Yes.
Yes, very, very good.
Thank you.
You were correct. The biscottis were not hard. They were perfect.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just, you know, I'm just lost for words, to be honest with you, because I didn't know what to expect. Right? You're
Right.
eating cookies that you never had before. You know,
Thank you for
the
trusting me enough to
yes,
just.
and the marshmallow chocolate chip. Oh,
Yes. Right.
I'm telling you, the flavors were perfect.
Thank
I
you.
was, there wasn't nothing overbearing of the marshmallow or the chocolate chip. I think your portions were right. So, kudos to grandma and kudos for you for being able to follow that recipe.
Well, thanks.
Really
Well,
good.
that's she never did that. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Well,
You
that's you
know,
then. And all credit to you then. Great.
no, but they all stuck with like a vanilla or almond extract.
Uh huh.
All that other stuff is me. And you know what? Marshmallows and chocolate chips. They're one thing we don't measure.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no such thing as too much marshmallow or chocolate chips, Chuck.
No, especially chocolate chips. Absolutely
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think,
thank you.
yes, I think my favorite had to be the orange wedding cookie.
Yes.
That was that there was just the right hint of orange when I tasted it was perfect.
Thank you. I'm glad you
So
enjoyed that. Yes, that's a newer one. And again, one of these things that like my family didn't make those.
yeah.
They made the traditional with the little sprinkles and I've said there's two things I did recently. The orange one, and then I've done a strawberry wedding cookie covered in powdered sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good too.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I love powdered sugar. I'm a big fan of the funnel cake.
Yes.
Yeah, that powdered sugar is just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with powdered
Yeah,
sugar.
but
Well,
but
I'm so
again, I
glad
was
you enjoyed them.
yeah, and like I said, I was really shocked because I was expecting to break my teeth on the biscotti because that's normally how they are, right?
Yes.
they're a little bit harder, and you got to kind of suck them a little bit to get it or break them apart.
Mhm.
Yours were just, I really like the texture. Great
Thank you.
texture.
The whole
Absolutely.
point is that the idea, I guess, behind him is like it's twice cooked. You're supposed to dunk it. I still think my biscotti, even though they're not break your tooth kind of hard, they are perfect for any beverage of your choice.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they need Dunkin'. Not
Right.
at all. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
So
now that we've talked about the process, how you cook them, and I've tasted them. So let's tell the audience, how do we find you? How do we get a hold of these great Italian cookies?
yes. So you can find me on Facebook, Nonnie's Cookie Jar. Nonnie cookie jar.
Okay.
And that's a great way to reach out. And then you can also go to www.nonniescookiejar.com. Um, that has a lot of things you can order from there as well. Um, but not every cookie is posted because I said, check this the thing. I like to be creating new stuff every day.
Hmm.
So the best way probably is to figure out what I post on Facebook or other
Nice.
social media. You can find me on TikTok. It's Nonnie's underscore cookies. On Instagram, Nonnie's Cookie Jar. Just all together, one word.
Right. So that's the key. Follow you on social media to see what you're creating currently, so you
Yes,
can get the craziest, freshest Italian cookies that you're making at that time.
absolutely. And you know what? You can also, let me see here. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but you can also call me at 443 0041.
Great.
You can also email us at cookiesfromnonnie@gmail.com.
Cookies from Nonnie.
Yes. So,
Great.
so many ways to get in contact with us and get yourself some good cookies.
Absolutely. Get yourself some great cookies, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm a fan. I can't wait to taste them all now. So
It's great.
I will be ordering more.
Yes, yes, good.
Absolutely.
And we do parties, we do weddings, we do any event, doctor's offices. They're like, oh, we're having a training, can we have some cookies? And I'm like, sure. So I got you covered. Like, you know
That's
whatever
great.
you need, we'll figure it out and we can make it work. I'm a
Right.
believer in that. Anything you could do.
Now, do you take suggestions? Like, can we put a suggestion in the cookie jar, and do you create some kind of oddball cookie that somebody wants to create, and you can name it after that person?
Well, so I'm so glad you asked that because I have done something similar before and I'm totally open to that. Actually, I had some caramel in the house not that long ago, and I was like, put out there on Facebook, like, hey, what is your favorite combination with caramel? Go. Whoever I choose that's like flavor speaks to me, I'll make, and you get some cookies that I make.
Hmm.
And so at that point, I made a blueberry caramel, oatmeal blueberry caramel biscotti, and
Wow.
I did a caramel macchiato biscotti.
Nice.
And those two people got, a free batch, a little, maybe half a dozen or so biscotti for putting their entries in. So I do that. Also, my 8-year-old had an idea that they would like to come up with their own flavors and get a biscotti named after them.
Yeah, there you go.
So we are in the process of trying to see which flavors they like and how to make that happen. So
Hmm.
I'm all for that. I want to involve people, like I'm not, yeah, I try to be a pretty easygoing and open, flexible person. Like, you have an idea, like, let's try and see how we can make it work.
Yeah. Well, I have a suggestion.
Okay.
There's a famous sub shop that I don't visit anymore,
Okay.
but they have the best ever cookies I've ever had.
Okay.
And if you could recreate this and outdo these cookies, you will have me for life. White white chip macadamia nut cookies.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow. That's I could do that.
those
Um.
with those cookies, if you've never had those cookies, they are probably my favorite ever.
So, are you good to have them in a biscotti?
Oh, if you can make that work, I would love to taste that in a biscotti.
Yes, because I have done. I called it a Hawaiian delight. I did a coconut and macadamia nut biscotti with a little bit of a pineapple icing with
Mhm.
shredded coconut on top.
Nice.
So, so Chuck, honestly, I thought you were going to give me something super difficult. But this just seems like super easy.
Well, pardon me. I'm glad it's not difficult.
But
However,
definitely,
if it
that will be
tastes like
on my
that,
list.
oh, that's great. Because you can make that taste like that. Oh, I'm in for life.
Okay. Well, let's hope that I can make it. I don't know what they use, but I mean, white chip. I mean, whew, there's a lot I could do with that. I think so.
You can figure this one out, right?
I think so. I think so.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Emily, for sharing your story with me and our
Yeah.
audience today. And would you like to offer a discount to our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. If they bring up that they've heard me on your podcast, I'd love to offer everybody who comes to me 10% off their first order.
That's great. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you for taking the
Absolutely.
time. I appreciate you taking the time and the interest
Absolutely.
to learn about us, and hopefully spread the word about
Yeah,
our
share your
cookies
story
and
with a
our
lot of with absolutely. I'd love to promote and share your story. Absolutely.
great. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You're welcome. So one last thing, I'd like to get all of my guests to share one final thought with our audience of anything that you want to talk about. Just one thing, one takeaway from your experience and from this podcast.
Wow. You know what? Anything's possible.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very, very good point that you make. Anything is possible. We just continue doing it,
Yeah.
be consistent. We
Never
can
give up.
never
Never
give up.
give up.
Right.
You know, that's
Thank you so much.
no problem. Thank you.
Ab-
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Emily, thanks again for coming on. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I'll be looking forward to hearing you say you have those white chip macadamia nut biscottis finished for your taste. You've been listening to the Q.A.C. Team podcast with your host, Charles Luttrell. Connect with us on the web at qacteam.com, Facebook and Instagram at qac.team. Thanks for listening.